Well, filling up the gas tank can be something of a mystery. Prices at the pump go up, down, all around. Catching the lowest price and avoiding the highest is a fine art. For some drivers, it's a bit of an obsession. Well, CBC's Havard Gould went in search of cost-cutting tips with the Pump Patrol.
They are everywhere in Canada. Thousands of people cruising in cars, taking notes, talking into microphones,
84.8,
82.5,
recording. Not crimes, not industrial secrets,
84.8 at here, Ontario and Britannia.
but gasoline prices.
Petrol Plus regular is 85.9 and diesel 83.9.
84.8 at
The data quickly entered into home computers. Pump prices posted on the internet for all to see.
Petro Canada 84.8 at here, Ontario and Britannia.
This determined Canadian has entered at least 5 prices every day for more than 3 years, and he doesn't even hold the record.
I'll put in about 30 to 60 a day, just for fun. Because I always have a computer near me. I always have, one at home, one at work.
I saw 76 in Mississauga, which is really unreal for this time of day.
I usually drive to the closest station in Brampton and get about 4 cents cheaper at night.
It is a Saturday night in Toronto, and the big game tonight is not hockey. These Canadians meet daily on the internet and once a month in a restaurant. They share a meal and information about gasoline prices.
If I'd waited 5 more minutes, I would have got it 1.5 cents cheaper.
Smile, you're on TV.
They have handles like Mom's Number One Taxi and Kenrod and Hardbody. They are slightly obsessed and not at all ashamed of it.
It's a game that gives us back some money. You're not talking about a bunch of people who are driving Hummers. We drive more economical vehicles than that. If we could afford to drive Hummers, we probably wouldn't care what the price of gas was.
That should be down by now. A couple
Yeah,
cents.
there's times where she actually
A lot of stuff goes down.
Yeah. You don't have a lot of money. Well, within reason, but it's always good to save a buck.
I commute 50 kilometers each way to work and back every day, and I want to get a deal on gas because my trips are so regular that every night I fill up every night or every 2 nights. I know within a liter how much gas I'm using, and I can actually do price comparisons that way. It means a lot to me for my budgeting.
Research suggests Canadians are more obsessed about gasoline prices than Americans. More determined to find that 1/5 of a cent off, more willing to drive to avoid dropping an extra nickel. And in Canada, there is one place where the gas game has gone to an extreme level. In the Toronto area, pump prices can change 8 to 10 times a day, and by as much as $0.10 a liter through the day. What happens here doesn't happen the same way anywhere else in Canada. In most of the East, gas prices are regulated, controlled. In the West, prices move, but not as often and not as much. It's really only in the Toronto area where the action at the pumps is truly fast and furious. Why is that?
Well, it's partly because there's been a huge amount of investment in Toronto. Major oil companies have been building a lot of very expensive sites. And when you build a lot of sites and put a lot of money into a good piece of dirt, as we call it in the industry, you need a lot of volume. And the best way to get volume is by pricing very, very aggressively.
They have no choice. It's go low or lose customers. But the drivers looking for deals and the stations looking for drivers have created a spinning price cycle even experts can't sort out. In Toronto, gas always starts up in the morning, drops down by day, goes lowest after dark. And somewhere around midnight, every station jacks up its prices to start it all over again.
What other product out there sees such wild price swings from night to morning?
There isn't any other product. And
Bernard Wolfe has been studying gas prices for years, and it used to be pretty simple to figure out.
So let's call this the crude. Then, you've got the fact that there's some cost. And I'm not necessarily making these in the right proportions, but, basically the refining. Then you have the margin at the station. And then, you know, you have something for the province and the feds. And so then this is basically the price that you start with.
Sound familiar? That's what you see every time you gas up. But what's going on in southern Ontario has the economics professor a bit perplexed. The standard supply and demand curves just don't fit.
Does this explain everything in your mind?
No, it doesn't really explain it. It's, you know, in many places you don't have this kind of thing. It's pretty well the same, you know, the whole day. And years ago we didn't have, you know, the sort of 24-hour cycle. We used to have 3-4-day cycles.
Equally mystifying is who's driving this cyclical price war.
Everybody's trying to figure that out. One view that I personally espouse is that the major oil companies, again with this huge investment in their sites, is usually the first to go down.
Whoever starts it, everyone has to follow on down, or sales simply stop.
This is the first station that I normally see on my way home here at Steele's and Kiel, and it's 74 cents. And this morning it was, I think, 79 cents, so about 5 cents.
Professor Bernard Wolf plays the game he can't quite explain.
Yeah, here we go. With 74 cents at the stations here.
He does not post prices on the internet, but he never buys gas in the morning and cruises carefully on his way home in search of that not quite understandable discount.
You've actually been out around midnight as the prices were going up and pulled out of a station?
Yeah, absolutely. Why shouldn't I wait? Look, if my tank is, you know, almost empty, well then, you know, I'll buy $5 or $10 worth. But, you know, normally what I do is fill the tank, because why should I do this more times than I have to? It's not the most pleasant thing to do, to fill up a car.
I can't see that evaporating faster in the winter than summer.
Back at the Pump Patrol dinner, they can't easily explain that thing they do. It is the money, and it isn't.
It's just the service you're doing for other people, really. It's not. You're not really doing it for yourself, other than being part of this fellowship.
You guys are trying to win.
But if you press them just a little, out comes the notion of a game. Losing and winning.
Okay, which is the more powerful feeling? Knowing you've hit the lowest price of the day when you gas up, or realizing you haven't when you gas up?
Knowing that I've told thousands of people where not to buy it because it's too expensive. That makes me feel like a winner.
What does it feel like when you realize you've bought at the lowest price of the day?
Fabulous.
You feel good about it.
Oh yeah, like you won the lottery. Yeah.
Even the soft-spoken boast here about bargains found.
It feels good to kind of stick it to the men.
So at night, when it seems almost all of Canada is consumed by hockey, there are also those who drive for discounts. Another great game that has captured the imagination of Canadians. Havard Gould, CBC News, Toronto.
Please stay